All right, gentlemen, I'm worried that Chapter 2 of the Book of Boba Fett might present a problem. Nate, what do you think?
I totally agree.
Sam?
I mean, it's got a lot of super fans excited. I'm just not sure how it'll be received by the casual fans.
Well, fortunately, we're here to help walk through the reasons that super fans love the episode in hopes that it actually helps casual fans appreciate it more. This is Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody was amazing.
All right, so how did the Lord of the Rings marathon watch go?
It was a weird environment being with, in a different house and having dogs that were kind of distracting and everything. And it was different.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the ideal environment. I kept getting distracted, and we kept having to pause it, and we broke up the watch into a couple days, so it didn't hit as much as it usually does. But it was.
Did you guys cry at the end, though?
I did.
Almost.
I always do.
Almost.
Yeah, when Samwise,
And the you bow to no one part. That part.
That's good. Yeah. Well, welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast, the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature and be endorsed by Ryan Johnson. I don't know. I'm just trying to say it.
Ryan Johnson?
Ryan Johnson. Okay. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of our generation. There is a story it is written on our souls, and that these myths speak to that story. And that's why we're talking about Chapter 2 of the Book of Boba Fett.
Lots of myth and stuff there.
We're going through a preview of Season 2 of Superman and Lois, and then we're reacting to a really weird final set of episodes of Season 4 of Cobra Kai. I am David. I'm the dad.
Hi, Dad.
And I'm honored to be joined, as every week, by my two amazing sons, Shmuley.
Hola.
How's it going? What are we talking about? Obviously, Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, Book of Boba Fett was full of Easter eggs that was a lot of fun for some of the super fans to hunt down. So
absolutely. BB Nate, we're going to talk more Superman and Lois, but a little different thing this week.
Different, yeah. Superman and Lois took the world by surprise with its first season, but can it catch lightning in a bottle twice?
Ooh, nice.
A little lightning, flash.
I get it. Yeah.
So,
I mentioned it a second ago, but it felt like the second half of the season of Cobra Kai season 4 was a lot of waiting for something to happen. And then it all happened in like the last 20 minutes of the episode, the final episode. But we'll talk about all of that. We want to thank you guys for listening in to the show. And we want to especially thank cufflinks.com for sponsoring this episode. They have over 3,000 items on their website from Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, NFL, NCAA, Major League Baseball, NBA, and everything else that you could think of.
Do they have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I don't think so. So maybe not that one. So anyway, we're very honored to be sponsored by this company. If you're new to the show, please follow the show on the podcast app that you're listening to us on. And if you are not new to the show, but you haven't subscribed or followed or whatever it is on your app, we ask you to do that. It makes a huge difference for us. You won't want to miss any episode. Last Friday, we had Brian Godawa on talking about why worldview matters in storytelling. And the episode was so good and there was so much more stuff. I wanted to continue the conversation. So we've got another part 2 coming this Friday on that, the sequel. So we're excited about that. But let's, stop talking about what we're going to talk about and talk about what we're talking about. Sam, go.
Yeah. The second episode of the Book of Boba Fett was released, and it was chock full of references and Easter eggs. We'll discuss some of the bigger ones as well as where we think the show is going. That's up next.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
On one of the jacket. Hey, leave me alone, all right? I'll get my thoughts together.
That shouldn't take long.
Right. On one of the jackets, on one of the like bikers or whatever, in the Aurebesh, it says Emmett on there. And funny enough, I think it was the cinematographer for this episode worked on Back to the Future 3 with the train scene,
cool.
and it's like Emmett Brown.
Oh wow,
stuff.
that's awesome.
So yeah, I mean that's just one of the
that's pretty
many
awesome.
many Easter eggs, which we'll get into plenty of those.
course.
There's a ton of them in this one.
First off, I want to get y'all's rating on a scale of 1 to 10 force nose spice lizard things.
Force no spice lizard things.
Yeah,
Was this Dune?
it felt like
Yeah.
it.
Anyway, so I'll let you go first, BB Nate.
I don't know. I think that it had a lot of potential to be great if it was done right, and I feel like they didn't hit it as good as they could have. I feel like there were a lot of points when it kind of it dragged.
Okay, so give me a number.
Well, like 7 or an 8.
Okay.
I mean, like the last 15 minutes had no dialogue, which in some ways I appreciated, in other ways just felt really, really off.
Okay.
Dad?
I'm going to give it a 6 again.
Oof.
With it. And I know that's going to be controversial because I know a lot of people really like geeked out about this episode. The problem was, I think it was too much super fan stuff, and it is going to cause problems for the general fans. And honestly, it was a little slow.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be, I fell asleep.
Well, you were tired too.
Well, it was late, but anyway.
That's true.
Yeah. Sam, what did you give it?
I'm gonna give it a 7.
All right,
You know,
Which is lower than chapter 1 for you.
yeah, because sure, there were lots of Easter eggs in there. I really didn't pick up on many of them. We're huge into Star Wars. I'm huge into Star Wars, and I missed a fair bit of the bigger Easter eggs and stuff. And I think it suffered for that.
A little bit.
We'll discuss later on why we think the actual story was not our favorite. But first off, let's go through and talk about some of the fun Easter eggs, though, that were in this. And there were quite a few references. It opens up with Fennec and this, I forget the mercenary group, Nightwind, I think maybe, walking in, and the entrance, it's just like the entrance that Luke had in Return of the Jedi. So first off, right as the episode starts, we're getting
and
references.
that's I'm thinking awesome stuff's coming.
Right,
exactly.
Right. And then when they're interrogating the guy, this was funny. He said Ichuta, and they really made sure he emphasized the
Ichuta.
in that, because
Which I know that we probably should mark this episode explicit.
As bad as that, you cannot translate it.
But we've used that word on other episodes in the past trying to explain this, and since it's not translatable.
Because I used to say achuta, which is just a friendly hello. So I don't know why they would have a curse word in the language that's so close to hello. But that was a fun little reference. And then they talked about the Rancor and stuff, and they were building that up. And then there was no Rancor because we saw, as in episode 6, the Rancor was killed by Luke. So it was a fun little reference to that. And then they go to see the mayor. And the mayor is actually voiced by the director, Robert Rodriguez.
The director of the first episode.
Right.
Yes.
He's kind of like the showrunner for the whole
Right.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then these twins come in, and they've got like one of those little frog bowls that Jabba has.
Very cool stuff.
They mentioned Nal Hutta, which is the Hutt homeworld. And then this is the one that, like, I think pretty much there's like 2 in this episode that everybody's freaking out about. And the first one is Black Chrysanthemum, I think.
Yeah,
is his
that's
name.
it. Yeah.
This is live action Star Wars debut. Now, this is a Wookiee bounty hunter gladiator who appeared in the Darth Vader comics run in 2010, I think, as well as Dr. Aphra as like a side, like a part of her group. He actually met Boba for a while and had an encounter with Kenobi, where he got this scar that we see over his left eye. So there's a chance we could see that in the Kenobi series.
Now, my understanding is doesn't he abduct Uncle Owen?
Yeah, he kidnaps Uncle Owen in the comic.
I don't want to see that in live action. This has already happened in the comics, right? It's already happened canon in comics.
This has happened, yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the idea of taking something we've seen and putting it back on, putting it on screen.
That's a good point.
We see how that creates challenges. We saw that at the end of season 7 of the Clone Wars with some differences between the books and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
We saw that again in the opening of the Bad Batch with Kanan and the Dune.
That's true.
Caleb
It can
Dune
cause
stuff.
issues.
I don't like the idea of doing that. Do you think that we're going to see that happen in this?
I think it's honestly, I do think it's possible just to allow it for more fans to know, because I did not know about this. And if it is put into show form, a lot more people, if it's important, the thing is if it's important enough in the story, then I do think that they should do it.
That's cool. Anyway, I didn't mean to hijack the segment.
No.
I just was curious about it.
It was a good point. So a lot of people were excited about that. And then one that I think is the biggest, in my opinion, is they actually brought in Tosche Station. This was a deleted scene in the A New Hope, where, the Tosche Station that Luke's talking about. And they actually showed it. This is where the biker gang is that we saw in episode 1. And it actually brought 2 characters back from A New Hope.
And credited them afterward in the credits.
Cammy Marstrap and Lay's fixer Leonzer.
Leonzer?
Whatever. They were in the original...
Fixer.
Yeah, we'll call him Fixer. They were in the original deleted scene. And so it was pretty cool that they brought this back in.
All right, now there was this big thing after The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
Where the old lady that asks Rey who she is at the Luke Skywalker homestead, there was this idea that people were like, is that Cammy? From this, do you and I'd love that that's my headcanon, right?
I'd be fine
which is,
with it.
I'm not going to lose my mind if it's not the case, because we understand how dangerous that could be with headcanon.
Yeah.
But for now, that's my headcanon until they tell me otherwise. Do you think that would be cool for them to be tying in Cammy like that?
Yeah, I think bringing her into this story would make sense for them to retcon it in a way for Rise of Skywalker, so people actually kind of have some previous exposure to the character. But this is a fun little thing that they threw in there, and it is picture perfect to how it looked in
down to the 70s haircut,
the game little thing. I mean, everything. It was.
Did you guys know that was what you were seeing when we first got there?
No, actually, I learned about it later on.
Okay, I picked up on it.
Yeah,
I knew that. I was like, was that Cammy? And I didn't remember the guy's name, but I remembered Cammy.
Right.
I guess I always remembered the girls. Anyway,
well, it's a lot easier to remember Cammy than whatever.
Well, and we talked about it with this idea of the Rise of Skywalker. I've talked about that before. So, I picked up on that pretty quick that was Tosche Station with it. So, do you like the idea that they're bringing that in?
Oh yeah,
absolutely. I love them making those old things canon again. It makes it fleshes out the world more. We hear Luke talking about Tosche Station. Now we see Tosche Station. Right. It just makes the story more real.
Very cool.
And then there was that train heist that happened, which was the main point of the episode, and it actually mirrors the train heist scene in Lawrence of Arabia almost to a T.
Yeah, it does.
Even the story itself fits Lawrence of Arabia very similarly. So that was a neat moment. And there's one shot, we saw a picture, I sent it to you guys, of a scene in The Mandalorian and the scene in Lawrence of Arabia when they're running towards the crashed train. And I mean, it is like you could lay the two over each other and it's almost identical.
Yeah, BB-8, I think you and I have talked about there's like multiple scenes that mirror Lawrence. Did we talk about that? Or was
no.
Okay, must have been. I was talking with you about it. There's multiple scenes that seem to be pulling from Lawrence of Arabia, cool. Which is a lot of fun. Because what's cool is that the director must be super passionate about that movie and saw opportunities to bring those images into the story in order to kind of pay homage to a film that is considered one of the greatest films of all time. So it's a really cool kind of insight into that director.
I mean, that's what Star Wars is all about. That's what George Lucas did with Spice. I mean, we saw that in this episode. Right. They talked about Spice and it flittered on the air. And I mean, it was identical to how we saw it if you watch the latest Dune movie. I mean, the Spice in that movie was the Spice in this episode. Right. Which just goes to show, where Lucas got his inspiration.
And there's a lot of ways that this episode compares to the Dune episode, the Dune film, including the fact that I fell asleep in it.
Yeah, you did,
but you liked Dune a lot.
I loved Dune.
I liked this episode.
Also, the Tusken Raiders are a lot like the Fremen.
Yeah,
they give me very Fremen vibes. I love
one
that.
with the desert and stuff. Yeah.
Also, this episode just felt like they're taking from Seven Samurai again.
Yeah, you mentioned that when you were even working on the episode.
I think Nathan mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't remember which one of my kids mentions it.
It was the smart
which one I'm having conversations.
But yeah, I mean, this just seemed to pull from Seven Samurai again. A lone warrior comes to a town. The town has a problem. He trains them in how to fix the problem and helps them overcome it.
It's a bug's life.
Yeah.
It happens again.
Good point. And they mentioned the oceans of Tatooine again, which is, apparently Tatooine was very fertile and covered in oceans. And we don't know what happened, why it became all deserty, but
then we had a weird vision, which is again like Dune.
And then Boba goes on some like force journey trip thing. And I watched this video where some are suggesting that if you watch the scenes, it's almost implying that Boba is being reborn as his own person now. He's not a clone of Jango Fett. He is his own person.
That's possible.
Which, if you watch it makes sense. And this whole scene mirrors what happens to Jedi a lot. They go on this journey to find themselves. He gets this branch, much like Jedi have to find their Kyber crystal. He takes it back. He has to make his own gaffi stick, much like Jedi are supposed to make their own saber. So it's very similar to what.
Do you like them doing that with Boba Fett, or do you? Well, explain to me why you like that so much.
I like it because it's giving more depth to this character that had 5 minutes of screen time. I'm feeling. While I still don't know why this show needed to get made, I am liking how we're seeing Boba Fett become his own character and not just another kid or a bounty hunter that got hit in the back by a blind guy and was thrown into a sarlacc. We're seeing an actual warrior and an actually interesting character be born through this, and I'm really liking how they're doing.
Okay, but I'm talking about the specifically the parallels between what we're seeing with Boba Fett in this series and the idea of the Jedi.
I understand, yeah.
So why is that? Do you like them paralleling it with the Jedi?
I do. I think that it shows how there is connections to the Jedi through everything, through the Force.
The Force
everything
connects everything.
And it doesn't matter if you're a Jedi or if you're Sith or if you're a bounty hunter or a Tusken Raider.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You still have this connection with this Force, and I really like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I want to... Something we talked about right as this episode ended was... I was like, man, this is just a Western straight up. And you were like, I don't get that. You were like, I thought... We were trying to figure out... Is this show trying to be a crime show? Is it trying to be a Western? Is it trying to be a character piece? What does this show need to do in the near future to give it some direction?
Yeah, I've got some thoughts on that. I want to hear what Nathan has to say first.
I don't know. I mean, like I've been saying to you guys since the episode ended, I need an answer to the question of why did this show need to get made? What was the point of this show? Why am I watching it? And why did it need to get made now? Because there's points for it. I mean, we had The Mandalorian come out and season 2 come out, and they were confident enough in this show being important that they had to put a post-credit scene confirming it's going to happen.
That's a good point.
And with this episode, it was a lot more of the flashback, which just seems a lot more of the character development for Boba. And so I'm wondering if they're going to be delving into the more current timeline in the next few episodes, because I feel like we're reaching the end of the flashback story with the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah, it feels like pretty soon he's going to come across Fennec in the desert and then, end up with the Mando.
Yeah, I will say this, though. I feel like, to why this show's needs to be made. I think that the idea of calling it the Book of Boba Fett, opening every episode as a chapter versus an episode, is tying it into The Mandalorian, because that's the way in some ways, yes. That's the way The Mandalorian story is being told. It's being told as if they're chapters. And so now you have the Book of Boba Fett, like it's a secondary story that's tied to that. So I think by the end of the series or the season or whatever we're dealing with right now, we're going to see that connect to The Mandalorian somehow. As to what the style is, I think... I've thought about it since we talked a little bit about it after the episode. I think that right now, we see two different styles because of the two different timelines. I think that the flashback sequences or the desert sequence, the Tusken Raider sequences, seem to be filling this Western motif to some extent, but it's really designed to help us understand how Boba Fett comes to this character of honor, this character that wants to rule with respect, so that he's tied in with the Tuskens, which we're going to see, it's weird. We saw, but we're going to see, in season 2 of The Mandalorian, as we had episode 1 of season 2 of Mandalorian, where you get that first glimpse of Boba Fett, but you can tell he's wearing the Tusken garbs and stuff like that. I don't think that we're close to the Ming-Na or the Fennec Shand stuff, because he just got out of the Sarlacc pit recently, and The Mandalorian takes place 4 or 5 years after, after Return of the Jedi. So I think he's going to be living with the Tuskens for a long time. He may become the ruler of the Tuskens. The Tuskens may be in his back pocket that he's going to be bringing in at some point into the modern timeline. And the modern timeline is really this organized crime family type drama. The way it comes together is how they're trying to make the Tusken Raiders not just this faceless, nameless tribe of savages that want to kill. Not the episode 2 killing of Shmi Skywalker Tusken Raiders, more of what Mandalorian experiences in chapter, I think it's 5 or 6 of the Mandalorian season 1, when he's actually interacting with them and he's talking with them. He's got a relationship. He's using sign language, just like we saw Boba Fett doing. Right. So I think that we're personalizing the Tusken Raiders. I think that they're going to be a part of this. Instead of being on the fringes of society, in Tatooine, by the end of this, they're going to be integrating into society as part of what's going on with Boba Fett. At least I'd hope to see that happen. It would be cool.
So what do you guys think happens in this next episode?
I really don't know. Like, I don't have right now a clear direction of where we can go for this show.
I think you have to, you absolutely have to reveal who the antagonist truly is in this
there's
episode.
no real antagonist.
Right now, it's just character building and a little bit of intrigue with that initial segment at the beginning of chapter 2 or whatever it is chapter 2, right? The Tribes of Tatooine. Yeah. So you get that moment where he's interacting with the mayor and all of these things are happening, but we still don't know who the bad guy is. It's time for us to find out who the bad guy is. And I think that they have to pull people in with that. Hopefully it's Kira. I think that that's where they're going with it. That seems to be the general consensus from what I'm reading from other people as well and hearing from other people as well. But I think you have to see that happen in the next episode. As far as the Tusken Raider stuff, I hope that they do a little less of that.
I agree.
They did a lot of it in this episode. That's fine. I hope they do a lot less of it. And they start moving into the current timeline
I agree.
A lot more. So.
Yep. Well, the big reveal we thought was coming that we talked about last week, it didn't happen in this episode, but that's not to say it was a bad episode.
No.
Not a lot
like we said last week, it was a great episode. It's just we need more.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we can't wait to see what might be coming. It's a lot of fun so far. We just are excited to see what it'll become.
Absolutely. All right. Good job.
Thank you.
Good segment.
Good job.
With that, we've got wishes and hope so's and fingers crossed and even some outright deceptions about Star Wars and Marvel coming up next on Bad News.
This is not going to go the way you think.
All right, I finally got to wear the Turbers of the Board cufflinks to church.
Yay!
You haven't been able to wear them?
And I haven't. This first time we actually got to record. We're recording on Sunday because college starts tomorrow.
It does.
And you guys gonna dress up for your first day of school?
No,
not that
ties,
much. No,
not that
not
much.
all that
No.
stuff. Maybe we should get you some more socks or something so you can wear some of those.
Yeah,
That's sometime. Anyway, we're recording on Sunday, and as a result, we just got done with church. I got to wear the Turbers of the Board cufflinks. I showed up to pray with Pastor Stewart and some others before service, and the first thing that Pastor Stewart says is, "I got to see the cufflinks," because he saw I was wearing some, and so he's like, "Oh, they're Turbis cufflinks." I'm like, "I've trained you well, my young Padawan." He doesn't call them Porg cufflinks anymore.
No,
he calls
they're
them
Turbis cufflinks.
Turbis
Every
cufflinks.
single Porg is a Turbis.
That's right.
Exactly.
Nate and I,
And Scooter, he got for Christmas, he got male and female Porg salt and pepper shakers.
Oh,
and I'm like, well, the
interesting.
male's Turbis.
Yeah,
It has to be Turbis. So anyway, but we're not talking about salt and pepper shakers. Anyway, we're talking about cufflinks, and that kind of thing. And BB Nate, what did you had some cufflink stuff.
I did. I had the Spider-Man socks and the Amazing Spider-Man tie and a Batman tie bar. It actually worked kind of well.
I mean, you matched your watch.
It matched my watch more than anything.
Yeah, you were just all over.
I was just all.
It was like
I
a
was
Marvel DC
showing
crossover
that you can
event.
love both DC and Marvel and still.
What
be
about
okay.
you, Samuel?
I actually ended up wearing Spider-Man 2. We completely didn't.
Spider-Man 2?
No, Spider-Man as well.
I'm Spider-Man 1. You're Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 3. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but Nathan and I, we didn't plan that at all, and we ended up both wearing Spider-Man. Probably because it was on our mind because we went and saw the movie again.
Yeah, I wore my
last night.
Spider-Man socks yesterday to the movie.
Oh.
That I got from Cufflinks.
Yes, I wore my Spider-Man socks from cufflinks.com.
Gotta love everything that they have over there. So,
yeah, I mean, they've got over 3,000 items on the website. Not just, like we said, covering cufflinks, but you got ties, tie bars, socks, money clips. I think they've got some watches if you want that.
I don't think they have watches.
They don't have watches?
No, they don't have watches.
And they need to get in on
They should spend
that.
some more time on the site so he
Cufflinks.
knows what's going on.
Listen.
Maybe I'm wrong. Prove me wrong.
Make watches. Anyway, they got all sorts of cool stuff on there, just apparently not watches.
Right. Cufflinks.com. Thank you for sponsoring the show. You can make whatever you want.
Exactly.
Okay. And we're excited about all of that.
So use the code.
Can you fix this problem for us, maybe Nate?
I
Thanks.
can.
Okay.
Use the code Tatooine15 at checkout to receive 15% off of everything on the site with no minimum order required.
Hey, I'm just trying to make them more money. I'm just helping them out.
All right.
It's
Anyway,
free advice.
totally.
I'll talk with him afterwards. Head on over to cufflinks.com today. Remember to use the code Tatooine15 at checkout.
Well, you want the bad news or the really bad news?
All right. Solo, a Star Wars story character, reportedly getting a Disney Plus series.
What?
CBR.com, which tries to pretend like they're comicbook.com, and they are not.
I know they hold the same like
color schemes and
I used to get
fonts.
I used to get so confused.
Yeah. Anyway, they are not comicbook.com.
They're not.
But they it's making its first appearance on Bad News this week with a headline that leads to an article with nothing but, as I said in the lead up to this, hope, so's, and wishes. The article suggests that Emilia Clarke will be reprising her role as Kira in more than just the Book of Boba Fett, which is still speculation at that point until next Wednesday, tomorrow. I'm confident in you. I believe in you, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Bring me my Emilia Clarke. Bring me Kira in that. Anyway, according to CBR.com, she's getting her own Disney Plus series. However, this article claims that nothing is confirmed by anyone at any level. So that's why I'm giving it a clickbait of 7.
Wow, that's really...
That's interesting.
Confident. All right. Marvel officially reveals new Black Panther.
Wow, I'm surprised we haven't talked about that a lot. That should be a whole segment.
I know,
right?
Well, the issue is it's from Inside the Magic.
Never mind.
Yeah, they're here again this week. This time it's releasing a headline that everyone scrolling through Facebook will see and immediately believe is referring to Wakanda Forever, the sequel to Black Panther. But it has nothing to do with that film. You probably guessed it. It's talking about the comics.
Yeah.
This is a common trick, isn't it?
Yep.
In the issue's Timeless #1, Kang the Conqueror looks into multiple futures and gets a glimpse of Storm wearing the iconic Black Panther suit. But that really isn't likely to happen in the MCU since the X-Men haven't even been officially brought into the story yet. So that's getting clickbait level 10. Oh, it's pretty bad.
That is pretty bad.
Especially with Chadwick Boseman, that's just disrespectful.
All right. It is. Giant Freaking Robot is back, and it isn't even using a trusted and proven source for this one. Just the words, fingers crossed, by actress Ming-Na Wen. The actress currently playing Fennec Shand in the Book of Boba Fett is well known for her role of Agent May in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is actually where I first knew that she first started to meet her.
She played Chun-Li in Street Fighter, the movie.
Well, and then
I knew her probably in Mulan.
Yeah, Mulan first, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Who is that girl I see?
Okay. Ming-Na Wen
was straight.
Can I get on?
No.
Okay.
Back at me. I'm gonna have that song in my head all day.
Sorry. I can mute your mic.
I know. You actually do have that
I do have that option. Ming-Na Wen was recently asked during an interview if there's a possibility the series could be revived. Fingers crossed. It doesn't seem like much of a confident confirmation to me, so that I'm giving it a level.
That's like when I reached out to my contact to try to get us into the No Way Home premiere, and they said they hadn't heard anything yet, and then they said fingers crossed. It was kind of like, probably not.
With them,
that's the final nail in the coffin, basically.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. not canon. So with Mockingbird in Hawkeye.
Oh, don't worry. That's coming up.
That's right.
A little bit later on this. But so there you go. That's your clickbait. I actually have people sending us now potential
awesome.
clickbait bad news segments. But they're like,
these crowdsource.
No, but literally they're like, this isn't actually an article. We just think we need to try to get it trending, so we got this covered. We'll make it an article so you guys can talk about it.
So
they're like trying to create bad news on we got this covered.
What have we done?
This is great.
It's a monster that we've created.
I love this.
It's awesome. All right. Well, season 4 of Cobra Kai might be the most bizarre season yet. Some things that happened were surprising. A lot of it really wasn't. And then there might have been episodes that really didn't even need to be in it.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
I actually started watching the spoilers. If y'all haven't finished the,
If you're listening to this, sorry, there's spoilers the rest of the show.
I got to watching the last few episodes before you guys did.
You did.
And I was over dog sitting in a different house. So I was kind of texting Nate a little bit. And the scene where Carrie Underwood shows up for some reason, I just sent Nathan this gif of like a dude with like multiple hands coming up from under a desk, like covering his face.
Like,
and, a
face palms, like times 10.
Times 10. Just like, oh my Lord. I was like, Nate, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when this scene comes up. And I actually got to be with you guys when you experienced it. And as soon as it came on, Nathan, you looked at me, you're like, this is the face palm, isn't it? I'm like, yes, it is.
Carrie Underwood. That was like, what is the...
Why? I have no clue.
She's showing up at the All Valley Karate Tournament to sing?
She stooped to a new low level.
It was weird. It was just a weird choice.
All right. It was a weird choice, along with a lot of other weird choices this season. And it's, here's the thing. I want to say before we get into this, it was fun to watch. I watched the whole season. I'm ready for season 5, but it was weird.
It was very cheesy. It's just very
It's like...
It felt like they didn't know what they wanted to do when they started to make
and we'll talk about it. So here's where we're going to start.
All right.
A little different rating scale here. A rating on a scale of how many episodes this season should have been. It was 10. A 10 episode season. So rate it on how many of the episodes actually mattered long term to the actual plot of the show, and how short the season should have been.
Honestly, with how it was, I think that 5 would have been a good. There were a lot of episodes that just felt like, okay, why? There were a lot of points where they started plot lines, with the whole Tori and the mom. I forget her name. Amanda. That whole thing, that whole relationship wasn't touched on after they started that plot line. Again,
it did until the very end of the show.
Until the very end of the show. There were so many points that did not.
There was weird stuff like that
to be done.
How many episodes should this season have been?
I was going to give it a 6. 6 episodes, just because it kept doing a lot of like the same storylines it's been doing.
Yeah, we're like at the same spot we were at when we started this season.
Yeah, that and just they were rehashing the same thing over and over. And I get it, but they could have cut out a lot of that and shortened things down. I mean, they had to pad out the time. Maybe they said you got to give us a 10 episode season, and they had to find a way to fill in 10 episodes. But it just felt. Yeah, I felt like there was a lot of unnecessary content.
It is something you just mentioned, BB Nate. You mentioned that we are ending this season kind of where we started it with it. You get to the end of the All Valley Karate Tournament, and what's the decision? The decision is that Johnny and Daniel are going to combine their dojos in order to come together, and now they're on the same team again, which is exactly where the season started. They maybe have learned some lessons during that time, but you don't need 10 episodes to get to this point.
Exactly.
You could have done it in a lot fewer episodes. And then the last 20 minutes of this thing, it just like plot development after plot development after plot. It's like they drug out the entire second half of this series and then got to the end and they're like, oh crap, we need to actually do something with this show. And so we're going to throw in all these twists at the end, and that's kind of what we did. All right, let's talk about a few of these things that happened in this. Terry Silver really is as bad as we had hoped.
I thought you were the one who said he was going to be...
I thought he was going to turn, but he was really as bad as we had hoped he'd be when the season started.
Okay.
With that. Okay. The show did give us an explanation for why. It felt like Terry Silver flipped almost overnight, though, from being someone who'd actually matured over time is what it kind of felt like we were doing with the series. Then he flipped back into this crazy dude that everyone remembers from Karate Kid 3. Sam, or let's start with you, BB Nate. Did the explanation that they gave for the reason that he flipped to the bad guy again, did it make sense to you?
I kind of forgot the explanation. It was a very forgettable season, too.
So he's being manipulated by Kreese, and he realizes he's never going to break free from Kreese, and so he flips.
Exactly. Kind of just felt really, it felt very off. It just happened. It was like, okay, he figured out what his weakness was. It's great. And they kind of been setting it up throughout the whole season, but not to the point where we're like, okay, maybe that is his weakness. We thought his weakness was Kreese, but to the point where it was because we thought Kreese was also Terry's weakness. That wasn't it. It was really just a very strange twist that they just decided throw in there. We got to make Terry a bad guy again, and that's what's going to happen. It felt pretty off.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. It could have been more compelling, I think. Frankly, again, I didn't remember that. I don't really remember when he even switched.
He flips and invites Stingray over.
That's when he
beats
goes
the
nuts.
tar out of Stingray and goes
just
nuts.
to be able to frame Kreese.
And that felt very much like Karate Kid Part 3.
Yeah.
Terry Silver. From the rest of the way show over. The first part of it, though, with Terry Silver is kind of like, oh, he may be a good guy. He's actually, he's interacting with these kids the right way. And then all of a sudden he's boom, overnight he flips and he's beating, the living stuffing out of Stingray.
I mean, it could be that all that, therapy and stuff he'd been doing really was just putting a Band-Aid on it, like putting a Band-Aid on a breaking dam, and then it just all came loose.
Well, like I said, I think that they gave an explanation. I appreciate the fact that they gave the explanation, but it was just, I didn't buy the explanation with that. And I'm glad Terry Silver's the bad guy again, because I love what they ended the series. They ended the season. I love the way they ended the season.
Yeah, bringing in the dude.
We'll talk about that. Yeah. But at the same time, I just don't like how they got there with it. All right, so let's talk a little about Tori. We talked about her last week as well. Tori Nichols' flip, it kind of felt just as extreme to me as Terry's. Terry and Tori. And this is, for going into the season, everybody thought that was where they were going to find out that she was his daughter.
Wait, what?
That's what the big rumors were. Terry, Tori.
That.
That was going to be the connection. Yeah, that didn't happen. Although we still don't know who her dad is. Maybe, I don't know. We can find that in season 5. We talked about Tori flipping last week as a possibility. But in the episodes before the finale, there was this real hatred that she had for Mary. Mm-hmm. She even gets into a fight with her at the junior prom after party. Yeah, she got into a fight with Mary. Mary. Oh, that's Sam. The actress's name.
That's the actress's name. It's Sam.
Sorry, Sam.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I don't remember Mary.
Sorry. I just remembered that was her. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm confused. All right. She fought with Sam. That's right. Including she got to fight at the after prom after she defeated Sam in the karate tournament, All Valley Karate Tournament. That's what it's called. Mm-hmm. The All Valley Karate Tournament. She immediately then, the second she hits her and wins, she immediately starts showing all of this empathy and concern for her physical well-being after kicking her in the face. Sam, what in the world happened there? Why the change?
I don't know. I think it was maybe because she was worried about what Sam's mom said to her before the fight. I guess maybe she was like, oh crap, maybe I went too far or something. That's what went through my head to make it make sense. But it was weird. I was like, You won. Why? The whole point is to beat the crap out of your opponent.
This is the same character that 2 seasons ago put spikes on her fists to try to mangle Sam.
Right.
Now she wins it in a legitimate way in a tournament, and she's like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, it was weird.
It felt off. It didn't feel like the same character.
I don't know. It felt very strange and just really sudden. I feel like in some way there was an episode missing from this. Somehow there was an episode missing.
But I thought we said we didn't need enough episode.
It was so strange. They had episodes that didn't need to be there and then episodes that did need to be there. That the whole episode with Tori and Amanda needed to be in there because that plot line was not explored nearly enough. And I felt like it was explored.
And at the end of the first half of the series, when we talked last week, it felt like that's where they were going.
Exactly.
And we didn't see any of that again until the very end of this.
And it felt like they somehow had a more developed relationship that we didn't get to see.
Yeah, it did feel that way. Tori also witnessed Terry Silver after this paying off the referee to help win the championship for Cobra Kai.
Which was a cool bad guy moment.
It was. It makes sense then of why Tori won, what's going to happen in season 5 to allow for Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang to team up and continue on. We predicted something like that was going to happen. As soon as that point wasn't awarded to Sam, I stopped it. I think I even paused the show and was like, all right, she's going to get 2 more points to win. And then Tori's going to win. And then season 5 is about them being able to continue because it was an illegitimate win from Cobra Kai. And we predicted it from that point forward with it. And so we know that's what's coming and it makes sense. But now we have Chozen, who we briefly saw in season 3.
Who was a cool character.
The guy who taught Daniel the arm thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's going to be coming in to aid Daniel while I guess Johnny is off chasing Miguel. Who's obviously taking a break from the film because he has to, or the show because he has to film Blue Beetle for the DCEU. With that, BB Nate, where do you see things with the dojos heading in season 5?
I don't know. I'm very excited to see the Chosen and Daniel whole relationship because they were really cool. That was the best part of season 3. I think we can all agree on that. That was really cool, and I'm very excited to see what they do. And I think that with Daniel becoming more and more accepting of the Eagle Fang way, which is more of the offensive side, which is something that Chosen is good at and learned from a very high-end master and Miyagi even himself. It's going to be very interesting to see that because he's more willing now to accept those trainings. And so,
what do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I think it's good they're bringing him in because they've still got to find a way to, I mean, obviously they're not going to stop training. Like, I know that was the deal they struck with Cobra Kai.
Right. Well, it's going to come out in the beginning of the first episode. Tori's going to admit that they cheated.
Right. But I think it'll be cool to have another perspective. I mean, the 2 perspectives or 3 perspectives, I guess, we've been getting is Kreese, Johnny, and Daniel. And that's been great, but it'll be even more exciting to have in this even more foreign perspective that's going to change everything, I think, and maybe finally be the strike, the finishing blow to Cobra Kai.
Okay. Let's talk about Johnny and Kreese and their futures. The kind of the 2 big post-tournament twists of the season were when John Kreese is framed by Terry Silver for the attempted murder of Stingray, which was another weird thing. They just all of a sudden,
they just
Stingray's back in the show, and we have to bring in a character in order to set this up. With it, he's all of that's going to remove Kreese from the equation, setting up Silver as the ultimate bad guy for season 5. With it, and then the other twist is when Miguel leaves town to go to Mexico City to find his father, who we find out from Miguel's mom doesn't even know he exists. Sam, what are your predictions for Kreese and Miguel in season 5?
Well, I think Miguel is going to find his dad and he's going to do the elf thing. He's going to, sing the song. I love you. I love you. I love you. Yeah, that's what we're going to see, from Miguel. And Kreese.
Is he going to save Christmas though?
Yes, but no, Day of the Dead because he's in Mexico.
Okay. Makes sense.
And Kreese is going to become the leader, like the kind of like crime leader of prison. He's going to teach all of the prisoners Cobra Kai, and they're going to stage a mass breakout, all doing like karate moves against these guards with automatic weapons, and they're going to break out and take over the city. And then Daniel and Chozen are going to have this kid uprising, and they're going to take down the prisoners with Kreese. You look at me crazy, but could you see something similar to that happening in this show, as weird as it's gotten?
No. All right, so since Sam's not taking this seriously, BB Nate, what do you think is going to happen with Kreese and Miguel in the next
I don't think we're seeing Miguel in this season. That was fun. I really don't. I think that we might see him in a cameo at the end, but he has way too much to film right now, and they're already done filming for season 5?
Season 5's done.
Exactly. So he's gone. He's already filming on Blue Beetle right now, so he's not going to be in it. At least not much. So I'm having a feeling we're not going to see anything of him and not get that figured out. Kreese, I do think that we're going to be seeing somehow Kreese start a dojo in the prison. I have a feeling
he's going to go on a mentorship program into the juvenile detention center.
Exactly.
That Robbie was in.
Exactly.
And
with
then
all
he's
those
going
people.
to create his own dojo in that's actually going to get work release, but not really work release.
For the All Valley.
It's going to be All Valley Karate Tournament release. And they're going to beat Cobra Kai in this. And we're not even going to see the Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang as dojos because we're not going to find out that they cheated till the very end of season 5. And so that's where we're going with this.
I still like my Prison Uprising better, but
wow. All right.
Well, after all that, it's probably time for a dad moment.
I am your father.
All right. So after watching the first half of season 4, we had this impression that both Terry Silver and Tori Nichols could potentially be redeemed in the second half of the season. Neither really were. We did get glimpses of who both characters are beneath the surface. Amanda's compassion for Tori seems to have broken the ice with her. Tori has obviously lived a very tough life. It looks to me like she could actually flip sides now and join Miyagi-Do.
I think it's possible.
In season 5. But Terry Silver's true colors were shown in every way possible. So an important lesson that we can learn from this season is that sometimes people really can change, but sometimes they just won't. We should be open to it when that happens, when they do change, but very cautious. And be able to see what's going on when they don't. So, overall, season 4 of Cobra Kai was really, it's worth watching.
Yeah, it was.
I'm just glad it was a binge style show, because going multiple weeks with certain episodes back to back to back to back would have made me lose interest in this very quickly. Mm-hmm. Having said all of that, I'm excited about the new direction, that the show could go in season 5. So, we'll do that. What are we doing next?
Movie moments.
Movie moments. Oh yeah, 25 years later, Scream is returning to the big screen.
Oh, I thought that was out already.
No, that's next week.
The question we have to ask ourselves is this something that we'll go to the theater for? Plus, the latest Moonfall trailer is out, and we're more confused than ever, and all that. Plus some predictions since it's Sunday and we don't know the actual box office. We'll talk about all of that next on Movie Moments.
At last, we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last, we will have revenge.
Alrighty, so with new releases this week, we have Scream 2022. It's not Scream 5, Dad. It's just Scream.
It's Scream 5 in my world.
It is Scream 5 in your world.
My truth matters.
It does. It really does. The description, 25 years after a streak of brutal murders shocked the quiet town of Woodsboro, a new killer has donned the Ghostface mask and begins targeting a group of teenagers to resurrect secrets from the town.
That's not resurrect. It's resurrect.
Resurrect. All right. Well,
makes more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that does. Alrighty. The director is Matt Bettinelli.
We were practiced.
Yeah, we did. But I think
you got confused as to whether the themes, the Friends song was...
Oh, that's a blooper reel. We're going to put that blooper reel out.
It's directed by Matt Bettinelli Oplin. I think I got that right. And Tyler Gillett. And the cast is Neve Campbell.
Nev Campbell. Didn't practice that one.
No. Courtney Cox and David Arquette. The studio is Spyglass, and its MPA rating is R for strong, bloody violence, language throughout, and some sexual references. Now, I'm going to put this on Dad first, because you watched the first 4 movies.
I did.
You enjoyed them.
all 4 Screams?
I did.
He really did enjoy them. Like, I did not know that.
I really thought they were fun.
He thought they were a lot of fun. Yes or no for seeing this movie? No?
Really?
No, as a dad now, my mindset is very different on this. It is so bloody and gory that I would not take you guys to go see this movie. And we don't go to movies that we wouldn't watch with you guys. And so the answer is no. So we're not going to it. That's your answers.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
For trailers, we got Moonfall. Now, this is the 3rd trailer for Moonfall, and it still does not seem like they know what genre they're in.
Yeah.
The first one was a disaster thriller, which looked really interesting.
Yeah.
The second one was a sci-fi thriller, which again looked interesting. Now, this one just looks like a sci-fi comedy.
Yeah. Like an action sci-fi comedy.
I have no idea. It's like the marketing.
It's like they're testing it with focus groups, and they're like, no, nobody wants to see that version. All right, so nobody wants to see that version. All right, let's do another one.
No, exactly. I was the most interested after the first trailer. Mm-hmm. That's what got me.
The second trailer looked really good too. They started getting into more of the sci-fi.
That's true. Yeah.
With the inside of the moon and all that stuff, the secrets and everything, and now free bagels and a cat phone.
That opening really throws you when you've seen the other trailers. So.
It was really really weird. It seems like the marketing department doesn't know what movie they're marketing.
I mean, we're going to still go see it to see what genre it ends up falling into.
It comes out in February or January.
I think February.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I'm not sure what it is, but for box office predictions, because, we haven't gotten any numbers.
Well, it's Sunday when we're recording.
Spider-Man No Way Home, 27 million domestically.
Yeah.
And 663 million
domestically. That's what it's projecting it'll be by the end of this.
Sing 2, 10 million domestically, 107 million domestic. And the 355 with a whopping 4 million. Yikes.
Talk about the Rotten Tomatoes on that one.
Right now, I think the critics is like 25.
Ooh.
And like the audience, I'm not even sure what the audience is. I haven't checked in a while, but last time I checked, it was like 60 something. Which isn't bad, but it could be a lot better. Could be. It definitely, yeah.
Okay. Well, we did go to a movie this weekend. And this is a public service announcement for all of you listening to this. If you have children,
yes,
and you go to a movie, you are still responsible.
Yes.
During this film, to parent your children. They should not be running through the theater, just talking loudly through the most emotional. When Aunt May dies, you shouldn't hear a little blonde girl 20 feet from you going, "But Daddy, I want to do this. I'm going to go over here and doing twirls."
Yes.
And throughout the rest of the movie, please parent your children.
Yeah.
And we love you.
And
we say
make sure that
they're
they're smart too, because somebody dissed on Andrew.
Oh yeah, Nathan got really upset. Little girls like,
"That's not really Spider-Man."
He's like, he comes in, he's like, "I'm Spider-Man," and they yelled, "No, you're not!" And
he about threw hands.
And I had to explain to BB Nate that I had to do some parenting afterwards and explain the kid didn't even know. He's probably never even seen Spider-Man. So
yeah, that's true, but still.
Anyway, all right. So why don't we talk about Superman?
Yes, let's talk about Superman. We're getting close, very close to the premiere of Superman and Lois season 2.
Closer than we thought.
I can't wait. Let's catch everyone up on what happened in the last season and what we can expect in this season.
Nice.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
Batman has no limits.
Yeah, the CW.
That's what it's called. CW.
Yeah, it might be.
I'm not even sure what that stands for. Does anybody know what that stands for? Channel Warner or what?
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. Might be selling the rights to their DC characters, or at least they're up for sale. This is rumored, but it wouldn't surprise me. They're kind of in a ditch right now. The only show that's being heavily praised and actually critically watched is Superman and Lois, and that's kind of their lifeboat right now. And if season 2 doesn't perform well, they're gonna sink. Because Batwoman is not doing good. Supergirl is ending. Flash is being demolished right now.
Flash is still going?
Yes, Flash is still going. Naomi's coming out. It's the first episodes.
What's Naomi?
It's another DC show. She's a really unknown DC character, which is really weird that the CW decided to make a DC show for her. But her episode is premiering right after the season 2 premiere of Superman and Lois. And then you have Stargirl, which Stargirl I've heard is okay, but this is really the big show for right now. So we really do not have a lot on this show at all. Season 2, not much at all. But let's do a season. They gave a synopsis for season 2, episode 1, and I'm going to kind of recap.
So they didn't give us like a season, like a preview at all. We don't know anything about the season.
Nope.
Okay.
But throughout
in a couple of days.
This season 2, episode 1 synopsis, I'm going to be kind of covering what happened to each character that's mentioned throughout it.
For the guy there over here that didn't take time to watch it.
Exactly. Now, season 2, the episode 1 is titled "What Lies Beneath." And the synopsis is season 2 opens with the dust still settling in Smallville following the shocking outcome of the confrontation between Tal-Rho, the Eradicator, who is Superman's half-brother from Krypton, who shipped. It's like Amazon Prime to Earth.
Krypton Prime.
Krypton Prime. 2-day shipping.
Because if it was Amazon, it'd be Wonder Woman.
That's the Themyscira. Alrighty. But he was then he found a Kryptonian stuff in the Earth, yellow kryptonite. Found the Eradicator, which is his dad, I think, if I remember correctly. And Superman fought him with John Henry
It'll make a lot more
Irons.
sense if you ever watch it.
And the Eradicator, or Talro, absorbed the power of the sun, I think.
It was like Starkiller Base?
Yeah, he was Starkiller Base there for a second. And then Superman pinned him down. John Henry Irons took the power from him.
Do you have any
and the
idea who that is?
Eradicator.
John Henry Irons?
Yeah, it's
Steel.
Steel, yeah.
Yeah, he's in this too.
Yeah,
I know that.
He is.
Okay.
But
He's got the magic hammer.
Talro has no powers now, and he is been, at least supposedly we think so, taken into custody by the DOD. And that's the last we hear from him. So that's where Talro is. And Superman, I think everybody knows who Superman is, but what happened to him at the end of season 1 is John Henry Irons and him are working together now, since John Henry Irons is okay with him, since he was from a different Earth and Superman killed John's wife and all this stuff. And
Don't spoil that one. Yeah, people can. Yeah, you don't need to know anymore about that world.
No, you don't. No.
Okay.
What about Natalie? I need to talk.
Yeah, never mind. Just go.
Yeah. So Natalie is the daughter of John and Lois in his Earth, and so
it's a
John
multiverse.
Comes over into this Earth, sees that Lois is married to Clark or Superman, and then Natalie, the daughter, finds her way to this Earth, and then finds out at the end, the big shocking cliffhanger is she finds out that Lois is married to Superman and is all frustrated about that.
She's very upset about that because Superman killed her mama.
So
in the other world.
Lois, everybody knows what happens.
Sam's confused.
Everybody kind of knows what happens with Lois because I just said it. And Clark struggle as a couple, while Chrissy, the person who's running the Smallville Gazette now, which has become really big.
She's the Perry White of Smallville.
Exactly. She's the Perry White of Smallville. Just running the Smallville Gazette with Lois. Jonathan, the football twin of Jonathan and Jordan, the twin sons of Superman and Lois, faces new challenges on the football field, and secrets threaten to destroy Jordan, the other twin, and Sarah's the daughter of Lana
Lang and the other dude.
And Kyle.
Yeah.
And growing relationship.
Every time I hear the word Kyle now, I hear Lana Lang saying Kyle. The way she says it,
yeah,
you know, it's in my head. So, anyway.
Meanwhile, Kyle, who had a lot of crap happen in the last season, he was always doing something really wrong. Meanwhile, Kyle grows concerned over Lana's. We all know what happened.
Always for the right reasons, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Involvement with a new mayoral candidate. Lastly, John Henry Irons, who we'd established as Steel, and his daughter, Natalie, who's from the other Earth, attempt to make this new Earth their home. This episode was directed by Gregory Smith and written by Brent Fletcher and Todd Helbing.
So Jonathan is played by Jordan, and Jordan is played by Alex?
Yes.
All right.
Dad, what do you think of this synopsis? It's getting.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to read it again because it was so jerky.
It was
yeah.
There was a lot of.
It doesn't really tell us anything.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just kind of giving you a recap of where everybody already was. The mayoral thing is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I never really got the feeling that there were that many struggles between Clark and Lois in their marriage.
I think that there's something coming up in this one that's been like rumored in the teaser we got, which is
what could it be?
All we don't know.
She's cheating on Superman with Batman.
No. That only happens in the comics.
So. Oh
no, it doesn't. But Bruce does flirt with her a lot in the Batman animated series and Superman animated series.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean it just sounds like it's like setting the table type episode, a traditional first episode of a season.
Yeah,
so
maybe yes.
Sam, anything in here sound interesting to you yet, or does it? You know,
the multiple Earths thing is new.
It's really.
I didn't know that.
That part is really important.
It's like critical. You find out that pretty early on.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, and Superman goes bad on that Earth, which I think
was this Injustice.
Yeah, it feels like it. A showrunner is teasing several villains for Superman this season, teasing one that will be a massive headache for Superman.
Brainiac.
No. Well, maybe.
Get it? Headache?
Yeah.
He's big brain.
Sam, let's get you into this conversation. Do you have any villains that would make you watch the show if they showed up?
Okay, well, you got to tell me who's showed up so I don't pick one.
Literally just Talro and John Henry Irons, who was the Lex Luthor, but it wasn't.
Doomsday. Yeah, I want Doomsday. That would be cool.
You think Doomsday? I think we've had Doomsday in the CW before, if I'm not mistaken, in Supergirl. But I think we could have Doomsday again, probably from the other Earth.
I want Doomsday.
Yeah, that actually.
Who do you think that could be teasing, though, this massive headache for
Is there not Lex Luthor?
There is Lex Luthor in the CW.
But no, in this series,
Not yet.
have we seen it?
Not yet.
Kind of, not really.
Kind of ish. Yeah, not really. I was going to ask
Multiple
you that
Earths.
question, Dad.
I'm not.
It is rumored right now that it could be Brainiac. That's a heavy rumor. But it could be Zod from another.
Okay, so
Earth.
explain for those of us that are maybe a little less initiated with DC, which is like every person on the planet. Who's Brainiac and why should we care?
Okay, so Brainiac has a giant head ship, always has, which is really strange. But he does like to go to worlds and take cities, bottle cities.
Okay, now we talked about him in a different comic that you were talking about before.
Injustice.
Okay,
yes.
now I like this idea.
There is a city. I always forget the name of the city, but he did take a city from Krypton before it was destroyed. Now this city,
He miniaturized the city.
and he miniaturized it and had it in a bottle. Now it is always put into the comics that city finds its way onto Earth, and then at some point, normally, it's expanded, and the Kryptonians from that bottle are villains, and so they normally add a second antagonist to the story from the Krypton side.
think this fits.
I like it.
I do too.
This
I honestly
fits
thought
Superman and
I honestly
Lois.
thought that Tal-Rho and the other chick were from that city. That was my theory before I found out who they were.
Okay.
So I really do think that could be the case.
Now I'm excited.
Several villains and all of this stuff. Now we have an episode 2 synopsis from the Ties.
Okay, let's just read it instead of trying to
I'm not gonna dissect it.
It's a lot shorter, too.
Yeah. The Ties That Bind is the name of the episode, and it is Clark opens up to Lois about his ongoing struggle with visions and admits that there is only one person who might be able to help. Tensions begin to rise between Lois and Chrissy, and Sarah breaks plans with Jordan to spend time with Natalie. Now, Dad, why do you think Clark is having these visions, and who is the person that can help?
Is Martian Manhunter.
I'd like that.
There is Martian Manhunter in the CW.
I'm trying to remember his name. John something.
John Johns?
Johns? Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But the producer's Jeff Johns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm totally confused. I have no idea.
DC is the most confusing.
Well, it's not.
I feel
It's
like.
just the way that we anyway.
That's a good point.
I don't remember him having visions.
He's not. These are new. These are new
right.
visions.
And
So
so
he's
I
got like Anakin stuff.
Yeah,
now?
kind of.
Is this a comic thing? Like, has he had visions?
Yeah, that's what I was going to
before?
ask. Does he have this happen in the
not
comics?
that I've seen. No,
None of the.
not really. No.
But you don't read a whole lot of like Superman centric stuff. So
All right, I got nothing for you.
Who do you think it could be that could help him?
I wonder if they're going to try to bring back Tal-Rho.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That might be the most possible case, and that's why it's the only person that can help him and all that stuff.
Which then is just going to bring in
He's
the
not
weirdness.
dead?
Well, no, we aren't going to spoil it. So
yeah.
he's not dead though.
No, he's not dead. Sam, you haven't seen season 1, and we just spoiled it all for you. But
he's so confused, it doesn't matter.
Would you consider watching season 1 at some point, judging on the reception of season 2, or at least
If season 2 is received really well, would you go back and watch it? Season 1.
since season 1 was received so well as well?
yeah, maybe. I mean, Superman's just not been a very interesting character to me, like ever. I've kind of always.
But you're gonna miss Dad Clark.
Okay, cool. I just have never been a huge fan of the character of Superman. And that's just a personal thing. I mean, if season 2 is just praise and maybe they pull out a cool twist where they bring in Brainiac or Doomsday or some big character like that, then yeah, I might consider getting into it. Or if they do some crazy multiverse crossover and somehow tie it into a larger story, kind of like No Way Home level, then yeah, I'm going to definitely hop in on that.
I mean, they've already
doubt they'll-
crossed over with Ezra Miller Flash in the CW, so.
Okay. Well, I mean, if they did something like that in this series, that would be.
And Grant
pretty
Gustin's in the
interesting.
Flash, so they could be bringing in the DC.
So I mean, they could do things to get me interested in it, but I mean, it's going to take a significant amount for me at least.
It was not a series that I thought I was going to care anything about. Heard a lot of people talking about they liked it when it first started hitting, social media. Decided to watch it. Liked the first couple of episodes, but it took us a while to get back into it because of the move. But once we got back into it, I really liked this series.
Really?
It's a lot of fun.
It
It's
is a lot of
definitely
fun.
worth watching.
Just for Dad Clark.
For a lot of
is the
reasons.
best, but,
a lot of reasons. Tyler Hoechlin is a great
He's
Superman.
a fantastic Superman. I love it. I love all he does.
And there are some good twists. And there was a moment when I was in an airport watching the last couple of episodes where I was audibly had my iPad out, headphones on, eating a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Yummy.
in, I think it was Houston.
Okay.
Houston Airport.
Okay.
George Bush Airport. And watching this, and I started saying out loud, like, so the people around me were hearing it, that audibly, don't you do this. Don't you do it. Cause I thought something was going to happen. I text you, Nate, you didn't know what it was.
I didn't.
When you watched it, I explained what it was. I really didn't. Yeah. So
interesting.
Yes. Well,
I won't say whether or not they did it.
No.
Or what even it is.
Well, next week, season 2 premieres, and I'm very optimistic, hoping to see a lot of twists and turns in this. Make sure to tune in on the CW network on January 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern, or streaming the next day on the CW app.
Awesome. Good job, guys.
Good job, Nate.
You did a good job. All right.
Good segment.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
Yeah, so Marvel is asking Academy members to consider Eternals, Black Widow, and Shang-Chi in the award season.
He said it right, BB Nate. You're proud of him.
Yeah, I did that just for you, bud. Are you crying? You were so happy.
No, I yawned.
You were so happy I finally said Shang-Chi.
You did it right.
And then Sony is also pushing for Spider-Man No Way Home for Best Picture consideration.
Okay.
It would have my vote, but I'm a little biased. Yeah.
All right. Of all of those, which one gets your vote for it?
Oh, for Best Picture? Yeah. No Way Home. Easily. But it's depending on what other movies get into Best Picture that would change.
What would be something that could show up that would usurp that for you?
I don't know, but I'm feeling...
Dune?
Maybe Dune.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Tick, Tick, Boom?
Okay. Maybe. That was a good one, too.
Tick, Tick, Boom was really good. If you have not watched Tick, Tick, Boom, take some time to watch Tick, Tick,
Sammy,
Boom.
you need to watch it.
It's so good. And... for some reason, I'm just going to assume that that's like what
would win.
No, that's Spider-Man in that period between the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, when he stopped pulling his punches.
Yeah, when he stopped
he did a couple
of life of
Broadway.
Broadway.
He wrote a musical.
Yeah, I think that
it was awesome.
That's definitely possible.
He did a great job.
Hawkeye directors hint at bigger future for Laura Barton in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Mockingbird or Jay.
Agent
what it
19.
I think it's Mockingbird.
Yeah.
I think it's Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is this is one of those, we got this covered. Like some people saying you should start a rumor.
Yes.
And we got this covered to create a clickbait. They want us to say that Laura Barton couldn't go to New York because she's on house arrest, like Ant-Man and Hawkeye and all them were. But why would Hawkeye be able to go? Yeah. But I could see we got this covered making that
Laura Barton is on house arrest. We got that from
Confirmed.
our trusted and proven sources.
Like Ricky messaged me on Facebook and said, make the
trusted
story
and proven.
That's
Trusted.
right. He's trusted
and proven.
And he's proven. So, all right. Anyway. This is me. E3.
Yeah, this is you. Yeah, come on, Dad.
The E3 event, conference, symposium, whatever they call it, has gone virtual again. It's scheduled for June, which it's in LA. And it has a lot of fans worried about Star Wars Celebration. And
E3 they better not trigger really, really quickly too for their.
They better not freaking do this to me again. I was so upset.
So possible. Hopefully not.
Move it somewhere else.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Like they're going to do the Super Bowl? No, they're talking about it. Anyway, Friday's release, again, part 2 of my interview with Brian Godawa. Check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, Cufflinks. That's who they're called, not clickbait. I was thinking clickbait still. Cufflinks. They're not. They're awesome. Cufflinks.com. Thank you for sponsoring the show. You guys are amazing. Check them out. Use Tatooine code 15.
Code Tatooine.
Code Tatooine 15 at checkout for 15% off your purchase.
Thank you, BB.
No minimum order required.
And then now I use this line. And if you know what this line is, tweet it to us or put it on Facebook and let us know what movie it's from. It's got to be your bowl. Okay. And that's it. Thanks for listening to Tatooine
Good job,
Sons.
Dad. Got a little rough there at the end.
It did.
Pulled through.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the show, Tatooine Sons of Pop Culture podcast.
If you had a good time listening to our really strange rambles, it would be awesome if you could share
the
this
last
with your friends.
or about 45 seconds of the show had as much value to you as the last 4 or 5 episodes of Cobra Kai.
Yep.
Season 4. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. And of course, this show's only a small part of the Tatooine Sons world. So be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and join our Facebook discussion group to get in on all the action and keep up to date with everything we got going on at TatooineSons.com.
That's right. Don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss any episode of it, and give us a review, please, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser.com, or whatever podcast app or resource you prefer. We're on Pandora, Audible. We're on all of them.
That's great.
Literally all of them.
Every single one.
And we need reviews.
They help.
Please give us reviews. Anyway, anything else you guys would like to say?
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you, always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Joy, please.
Yep, yep.